Good morning from Bahaba. We are out here. This place is beautiful. It's very touristy, but at the same time very gorgeous. So come along and explore with us.
You'll see some magnificent sights. Stay tuned.
Make a bucket list of the things you want to do. Tick each thing off as you feel all blue. You just have one life to live, my dear. So why don't you smile and spread the cheer?
You guys all set?
Perspective. It's a noun that details a particular attitude toward or a way of regarding something, a point of view. Changing your point of view is exactly what we had in mind when we took to the skies. Maine is beautiful from the ground, but what would we see from the air? Perhaps a moose. We've always wanted to see one. A whale. It's possible. Or just anything. I love flying. Gives you a different perspective of the ground. You see things that you can't see from the roadway or in a car or even on a hike. As we flew around, our pilot was giving us little pointers and things about what he saw and what he knew from growing up there. Unfortunately, we weren't able to pipe into the headsets, record that as we flew, but he was really knowledgeable about the area, having grown up there. We saw Mount Desert Island. We saw, of course, Acadia National Park, Cadillac Mountain. We also saw the Northeast Harbor, the Southwest Harbor, Bass Harbor. We saw all the cliffs, the mountains, and islands along the western shore. He pointed out the Blue Hill Lighthouse, Bass Harbor Lighthouse, the Baker Island Lighthouse, Bear Island Lighthouse, Egg Rock Lighthouse, and the Winter Harbor and Prospect Lighthouses. We also saw a little bit of the Scudic Peninsula. We even saw some salmon pens, which didn't know that if it says farm-raised salmon, it might not be on a farm or a big aquarium. It could just be a big pen in the ocean like this that floats along. But the sights were breathtaking. Despite the fact that we couldn't really take it all in at once because it was just so much information. It was like drinking from the fire hose. It's something that we're just going to look back on as one of our favorite memories. Some of the original settlers in the area built houses, and they had some cranberry bogs. Of course, most of these now are commercialized and moved elsewhere, but if you look closely, you can see it behind some of the houses, just in the water, the remnants of what used to be a cranberry bog. Also, as our pilot pointed out, and we learned from others as well, during certain tides, you're able to walk out to one of the islands, but if you don't time it just right, you're going to be stuck there for 12 hours. So I hope you brought some snacks and water. You're going to be there a while. Don't think you're going to swim back to shore either, because that water is cold. Hypothermia is a real thing. Even though it was summer, it was pretty cold on the ground, but even colder a couple thousand feet in the air. But we saw why people wanted to build their mansions there. The views are just breathtaking. And we kept our eyes out for whales too, or any other kind of interesting feature we could find. It's just so neat that there are just so many trees, so much water. We saw boats, we saw old houses, new houses, privately owned islands. Lots of boats, a few ships. The cruise ships weren't running because, well, they're just not running. I've always been kind of fascinated with aviation, so I spend a lot of time watching the instrument panel too. It's kind of a nerdy thing, but I enjoyed it. All in all, it was definitely worth it. The sky, the video just doesn't do it justice. The air was just so crystal clear. The waves were crashing upon the shore, and I couldn't help but thinking, that's gotta be really cold to try to get out there on a paddleboard and a kayak, and I would hate to fall in that water, but you know, they do rent kayaks and paddleboards, so if you're the kind that doesn't mind getting a little chilly and wet, it might be a thing to do. We mind getting chilly and wet, so we passed on that. But it would be a really neat way to get a different perspective on it. You know, the cinematography from inside a plane is not exactly optimal, but I understand why he wouldn't allow us to attach a GoPro to the outside of the plane. They do have liability after all. If, you know, it were to come loose, bonk somebody in the head, that wouldn't be good. And one of the things that was difficult was deciding which side of the airplane to look out of. I mean, there's just so much up there to see. I don't recall exactly who owned this land, but it was mighty nice. Can you imagine living on an island like that? I saw this little blob island. I couldn't help but think of how many people just would anchor their boats there and just kind of hang out for the day. or spend the night even. As breathtaking as it was, it just seemed to fly by, pun intended. And in no time, we were headed back to the airport. Scarcely aware that a half hour had gone by. Perspective, changing your point of view. Isn't that really what travel is all about? Okay, so we're back. We rented a plane and flew around all the islands and saw lots of cool sights and lighthouses and Bar Harbor, and
Not one stinking
not a single
moose. Nothing.
No moose at all. We did see
Wipe away my tears.
the salmon pens, and we saw lighthouses.
I didn't even see a whale.
No, I did see some birds.
Saw
A lot of
birds,
A lot
yeah.
of birds looking down.
Didn't see any dolphins or whales, so hopefully tomorrow we'll get to see those.
So runway 22 was not productive. We're going to try highway 3.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. See you real soon.